Well, the reason I'm back after a break from making videos is, unsurprisingly, the ban list, and I want to not only talk about the ban list, which you can see in front of you right now, but also what I think about the state of the game in general. And to say I'm not exactly thrilled about playing Duel Links right now is a bit of an understatement. It's putting it lightly, but I think it's not a meta issue, but rather a game design issue, because people complain about the best deck every time. When Silence were tier 0, people complain. When Takion was tier 0, people complain. It's nothing new. What I'm really worried about isn't really like a particular deck being too good or anything. There's always going to be like a deck that's top tier. It's more like an issue where the game is heading, and I kind of want to talk about this before I talk about the new ban list. In the recent year or two, we've seen a big shift in skill design, and as we all know, skills are like the heart and soul of the game, and the big defining factor of what defines Duel Links, and the power level of skills has just elevated to such a high level that made the game branch off into a completely different direction to other formats like in the Master Duel or TCG. For a very long time in the history of Duel Links, it just felt like a lower powered version of the normal TCG, and maybe like a few decks being better than in paper play because of the skills that they have, but still nothing like too broken. And now we're having decks that is entirely built around skills, and I don't really think that's a problem in its own. And I have talked about skills extensively in like an older video, but now the dynamic of the game has really like changed. It's just completely fundamentally different. Let me explain this in a bit more detail. If you play the TCG or Master Duel, the dynamic of Yu-Gi-Oh is, well, in most games at least, the player going first sets up a board, and then the other player tries to stop it with hand traps or tries to push through it through engine or board breakers. It is like that for a very long time, and it is still like that right now. Historically, in Duel Links, the player going first is pretty much always uninterrupted, but it's fine in a lower power format because the player going second can usually push through it using stuff like back row removal, like MST, or monster removal, like Book of Moon, that technically doesn't remove a monster, but you get what I mean. For the few boss monsters on the field that actually do something, and because the game is in such a back-row-centric format, and that usually works. Even if you can't really like immediately deal with your opponent's end board, you can set a powerful trap like IDP or Needle Sealing, and you can wait a turn, and that's still a perfectly valid game plan as well, because the game just isn't as fast-paced as it is right now, and boards aren't that strong that makes them unbeatable if you don't like draw some broken stuff immediately. And well, that is pretty much no longer the case because of the current dynamic of Duel Links, at least in the competitive level, is that one player sets up a broken turn 1 board, usually with like the help of a skill that enables said broken board, and the other player usually needs to either draw exactly Nibiru in their 4-card opening hand, or they need to use their own broken skill and its bonus going second effect just to push through these boards with engine. And maybe with like some help from a Droplet or Eclipse and those kinds of cards as well. These kind of gameplay dynamic isn't really bad news if the deck that you're playing is using one of those skills, but well, if your favorite archetype doesn't have a busted skill, too bad, you're just not gonna have a fun time. I think the biggest issue I have with the direction Duel Links is heading, back then, any deck can pretty much play MST or Book of Moon or like these kind of staples to counter any sort of top tier deck, but now a significant portion of decks just feels gatekept from the meta because they just don't have those sort of broken skills. And skills like these are supposed to be turning like unplayable decks into playable decks, like for example the BLS skills that just like makes an unplayable archetype into an archetype that actually does something. And these skills are not supposed to turn decks that are already decently good, like Speedroids or, back in the day Salamangreats, for example, into just unbeatable meta super threats. I mean, there are good cards that counter these decks, most notably Nibiru, which will come up a lot in the discussion of the ban list, but there are just so few cards that fulfill this role that it just becomes a draw the out format for any deck that doesn't have a broken skill. And I think that's the reason why this is the case is not only because of the broken skills, but also the combination of broken skills and the good archetypes that they are supporting, which in combination just makes those decks extremely hard to beat. For example, when Speedroids or Resonators or Utopia can consistently make 3 or 4 negates turn 1, it just really narrows the options that you have to deal with those decks, and especially for decks that don't have a broken going second skill effect, you pretty much have to open exactly Nibiru, and there aren't really like good replacements for that. And I think that's like fundamentally the reason why the dynamic of Duel Links has turned into what it is right now. And to realistically fix this issue, we can't really expect all the skills made in the past year or two to be deleted from the game. So what I think is the best course of action is to kind of find a midpoint to compromise. Top tier decks like Shaddoll and Speedroid and also Utopia obviously need their skills to be nerfed, otherwise their board is just unbeatable. And also generic skills like the order skills and strike back skills, like I talked about in the skill video, need to be buffed to do more things. We just kind of need to accept that skills designed in the current day are just going to be designed like this from now on. And the best we can hope for is at least these generic skills like, the Book of Moon skill or the Terrors of the Overroot skill can do more to catch up with the archetype-specific skills, and the archetype-specific skills cannot be too broken. And I think a good benchmark to determine whether an archetype-specific skill is too good is that the boards that those decks produce needs to be beatable by a wide variety of generic cards and not just draw Nibiru or get cooked, for example. So, but before I start talking about the ban list, I know I've been on the screen in the game for a very long time. I want to briefly talk about the direction I want to take my channel specifically. To be frankly honest, I'm not really exactly thrilled to be playing Duel Links right now. You'd probably tell by my upload schedule, but I'm still gonna be making Duel Links content regularly, hopefully at least. I'll probably try to make a Gusto video and an Assault Mode video because those two decks are quite cheap to build because they're from a deck build box. So tell me if you're like excited to see a video on those decks. And I'm also trying to work on an updated, a new player guide as well for whoever decides that Duel Links is a game worth getting into in the year 2025. I'm also want to make a lot more Master Duel or TCG content as well, which I have been already doing recently to kind of like transition my channel from only being a Duel Links channel into a more broad Yu-Gi-Oh focused channel. I've kept up for a very long time, even during the wave of Duel Links channels migrating to Master Duel, and I mean, I've stuck around for Duel Links for a very long time. I still have no plans to stop making Duel Links content. I'll still, make Duel Links content regularly, and that's still probably going to be my main focus, but I just think that it's best for me to just make my content be varied a bit. I've been having a lot of fun trying to play Christians in Malice meta in Master Duel. Anyone who plays Master Duel right now knows that Malice is just terrorizing the format and everyone's maining Lancia, and as crazy as this sounds, I'm kind of having fun trying to like play a deck that's clearly not good in the meta because everyone's maining Lancia and trying to like get wins with Christian in Master Rank, and I'm quite excited to share this type of content to you guys on this channel as well. Okay, so with all that said, let's actually look at the ban list. I actually know about this ban list already. I've read through it beforehand, so I'll not. This will not be like a reaction video. It's more like what I think about the changes individually, one by one. So let's start with the cards. Sheehan Spy being banned is very good, obviously. This card is only used in FTK, so just ban this. I guess some farm decks use this, but it's just like some farm decks, not every farm deck uses this card anyway. And I think like I don't even farm like in a gate event. I don't even use farm decks anymore. It's like a thing that I used to do like 3-4 years ago. Nowadays, I just usually just auto duel with like an auto duel deck and just like play until I get the character. But for people who play farm decks, you just like plenty of replacements. You can just play a different type of farm deck. It's completely fine. Limit 1 Utopia Ray Victory. What that means is basically they get one less extra deck slot combined with the skill change that we're going to talk about, and they can't play Xyz Change Tactics, which, I mean, when Sheehan Spy is banned, Xyz Change Tactics is just whatever, but, it's good that they're, like, usually for FTK decks, Konami makes, like, they do, like, way more than they need to like, stop FTKs from happening, and that's always, like, a good thing that they have been doing. So, like, other than, you know, banning Sheehan Spy, they usually go a step further and they like limit Xyz Change Tactics as well for this example, and that's good. That's good. What's not good is that that's the only hit for Utopia, and there's like also the slight skill change that we're gonna talk about, and that is not enough. That is not nearly enough. They should probably like limit one of the cards that they're playing to free, as well as like a Lava Golem, for example, because this deck playing Lava Golem is just straight unfair. Or just like nerf the skill to like not let them play Lava Golem. What are they even doing? Limit to Salamander. This card can be unlimited because the skill was the problem all along. I don't think any of the Salamander cards are the problem. All of the cards can be unlimited, and I guess maybe not Gazelle and Roar, but even then, I still think like Gazelle and Roar can be unlimited, but that's like another topic on its own. But yeah, that's completely fine. Limit 3 high-speed Roy Cork Shooter, that would be good if, you know, they limited other cards to free, but that's the only card that they limited to free, so it's like barely anything. It's like nothing, and they didn't even hit the skill or anything. So, you know, Speed Roy just still gonna be the best deck probably. Oh well. Lurilisk, I'm not exactly thrilled, but I think it's probably fine in terms of like power level in the meta. Lurilisk is always one of those decks that I just don't agree to be in Duel Links, and I just don't like this deck. I don't know what to tell you. Just like it's make towers and attack directly and win. It's like it's just not a fun deck to play with or play against, and well, but realistically, in terms of like meta power level, it's fine. And yeah, Flambo, nobody plays Battle Boxers, come on. No longer on the list, whatever. Well, I have like kind of an issue with like Vortex Dragon and Arclight, not exactly because they're like broken cards, but like it's the direction that these changes are trying to imply. They're trying to like encourage more decks to play Omni Negates, and well, that's not exactly fixing the issue that I'm talking about, like at the beginning of the video, where like every deck makes like 10 billion negates, and you have to either draw the out with like Nibiru or Droplet or Eclipse, or you just die, or I guess you kind of need to like rely on a broken skill to kind of play through these boards. And well, these changes are not exactly encouraging like decks to not put out 10 billion negates, and well, that's just not a good direction to see. But realistically, again, not a big deal in terms of like how the meta will shake out, but just It's just more like a worrying trend that the game is going to, or the game is going towards. Patchwork is fine, Crackdown is fine. Again, we already moved out from, you know, a trap meta. We've been briefly in like a limit-free trap meta for like a year or two, and in that meta, like cards like Crackdown and IDP would be broken, not like broken, but like really good at least. But we've moved on, and these cards are fine, and that's probably fine as well. Liquid Soldier is fine. You know, the problem with Hero has always been the skills. And glue eating heroes is, well, they're gonna stay eating glue forever, and change to Liquid Soldier is just whatever. I'm not exactly thrilled to see more heroes because I still think the skill is really poorly designed, and I don't think they really changed the skill at all, and it is what it is. Okay, so this is the one single change that I'm like most disappointed about, is that instead of, you know, hitting Speedroids or Shadow even harder, they bring back Resonators. They're trying to like make Resonators being more on par with like the other broken decks in the meta, and Resonators was like the broken deck in the previous format. They were like the deck to beat that put out 10 billion negates and an unbeatable board turn 1 and has a skill that makes them play turn 2. And they're bringing that back, and that's worrying. That's so disappointing to see that instead of, you know, hitting the best decks and trying to like steer the format away from the best decks being able to use their skill to make an unbeatable board turn 1 and breaking any board turn 2, they're just adding more decks to the list, and that's just not good to see. And please, just like, I don't want to see this card. And not only that, but the design of this card inherently like stops cards like Book of Moon to be out to the Resonator board. So they're encouraging more cards like Nibiru and Droplet and Eclipse to be played, and like they're like gatekeeping more generic options like Book of Moon to be used against decks like Resonators by, you know, having this card as legal in that deck. That's not good. That's not good. That's like completely the opposite direction that the game should be heading, at least in my opinion. Like the existence of this card in that deck just like gatekeeps even more cards to be used as counters against Resonators, and that's just not good. It's not good. Don't know what to say. For Rush Duels, these cards are whatever. Void Corridor is good for me specifically, because I love Dark Galaxy. If you go to like Duel Links meta and look at my profile, it's all Void Velk now. It's pretty much the only thing I upload to Duel Links meta is exactly Dark Galaxy. And well, even then I still don't really play this card that much, even before it got hit by the ban list. So it doesn't really change things too much for me. For like my build specifically, but like as a Dark Galaxy player, it's like nice to see, I guess. And like these changes are like whatever. The Gaia skill got nerfed anyway, so that's probably fine, and these two are fine as well. Alright, skill changes. So before I talk about the skill that got nerfed, I want to actually talk about the skill that got buffed. More specifically, the two order skills, because I think I really like the order skills, or like strike back skills. I like the design philosophy of those skills that allow generic decks to play these generic skills to like kind of fight back against skills that have specific archetype broken skills. And what they did to these two skills is basically they changed it from turn 2 onward to just you can use it on turn 1, which is a really big buff and really good one. And I really like the skill. I really like the change, because back then there really isn't a reason to play like Dark Order Book of Moon, because you can just play Strike Back Terrors of the Overroot, because both skills back then were only turn 2 or onward skills, but Overroot is just better than Book of Moon. It's just straight up better, and also you don't have to play 7 or more Dark Monsters, you can play it in any deck. But now, there is a reason to play the skill over the Terrors of the Overroot skill, because you can use it on turn 1 as like a part of your end board. So yeah, that's a good change. Probably still not enough to be compared with the broken skills nowadays, but it is a step in a good direction, at least in my opinion. And now the bad news. The bad news is these 3 skills, they are all buffs, but notice what they did, right? During all of your turns, What that means is that now they can play Nibiru, which is not fixing the meta. I mean, they do make those decks better, because Nibiru is a really good card, as I talked about in the intro. But you're not fixing the issue, you're just giving more decks out to a problem that hasn't been solved. And instead of doing this, you should probably the best way to counter them, like fix the meta, is probably to change like the broken decks to not put out a board that only loses to Nibiru. They should lose to more things than only Nibiru, and changing more skills to allow them to play Nibiru is just not a good solution. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to talk about the skill. I guess you can also like set from hand as well, that's like a slight buff. And then Strongest Barrier can be used once per turn or twice per duel. This skill is kind of a meme anyway. You can probably make the skill work if you really want to, but not too big of a deal. And well, yeah, the Utopia skill got like a slap in the wrist. They basically have 1 less extra deck slot because they have to play Utopia Ray Victory. And well, again, doesn't really solve anything that is like the issue in the current meta. They can still play Lava Golem, and Utopia Ray Victory is limited 1, so that they can't play Reinforcement of the Army, but you know, they went from 10 starters to 9 starters. Oh my god, what a big nerf, am I right? Yeah, it's nothing. It's like, it's not even a consistency nerf, because most people don't even play like 3 Ascended Sages anyway. So now they're just gonna like replace Reinforcement of the Army with like another Ascended Sage, which means people have to buy more boxes to get a 3rd copy of the Ascended Sage, which means more money for Konami, am I right? Let's go! Yeah. It's bleak, it's just not looking good. I'm not sure what to say beyond this. And, well, it seems like the meta is just gonna be more Shaddolls, more Floodgates, or more negates like Speedroids, Utopia, or Resonators probably after the ban list, because of Chewing Gum being unlimited for whatever reason, that they decide that Resonators, you know what, it's fine, you can have more negates. Yeah. Not really much more to say than what I've already said. Not looking exactly good, so yeah, well, I'll see you guys in the next video, whatever that will be. I don't know if I'm gonna even, you know, make a Duel Links video next. Might be a Master Duel video, I don't know, no plans yet. I'm also not exactly that free lately, so yeah, anyway. Thanks for watching, tell me what you think about the ban list and also the state of the game right now. I'm interested to hear what you think, because, you know, what I've said is just my own opinion of one guy on the internet, so don't really like take my words too seriously. That's only just like what I personally think as a guy who played this game for over 8 years, but yeah, interested to see what you guys think as well, and thanks for watching, bye bye.